Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Introverts Podcast, where we take a deep dive into the importance and the benefits of being intentional on a journey to a better you. I'm AJ Smith, and I have the wonderful, the beautiful, the intelligent Tasha Denise with me today. How you doing?
Good morning, Ashley. That was such an intro.
I'm gonna let you intro yourself in a minute so you can tell the people where they can find you on social media. But before I do that, let me tell the folks where they can find the podcast. You can find us on the first and third Wednesday on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Instagram at Introverse Podcast and on Twitter at Introverse Pod. You can find a link in the bio that'll take you directly to the latest episode if you don't have access to the previously mentioned podcast platforms. You can find me, AJ Smith, on at AJ Empowers on all social media platforms. Now I'm gonna shut up, Tasha. Tell the folks where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Tash 2.0. So that's TASH, the number 2, POINT, the number 0, and the letter H. You can also find me on Twitter at the same handle at Tash 2.0. And then on Facebook, I am Tasha Denise. Now, Facebook is for like you people who know me. So if you try to friend request me, you might get declined. But hey, shoot your shot. You never know.
Not shoot your shot. You better let them know. Not everybody getting access over here on Facebooks. I am glad to have you. I appreciate you joining me today. I think it's going to be a real good
episode. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
It should be interesting.
As always, I'm going to ask people their vibe. You know, if I ask you what the vibe is, it's just how you feeling today and anything else you want to add. So how is your vibe? What's your vibe today?
So I'm actually feeling pretty good. I was a bit nervous because, I've never done this before. So this is definitely interesting. But yeah, I'm excited. I am expecting great things. I am in expectation of a good day. So that's kind of where I am right now.
I love it. I set my intention for today to just be present in my day and enjoy it. I don't think we do that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
My vibe is just my vibe. Just enjoying the day. That's it. Normally I'd be, I'm being I'm in a space of transformation. Like, I don't even care about that today. I just want to enjoy my day.
I don't care today.
Don't. So today's episode, anytime I bring a guest on, I try to kind of step back so that your greatness, your dopeness shines through. I'm just gonna ask questions and you gonna lead the way. You ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
As ready as I'm gonna be.
Here we go. Here's the first question. Can you tell me what has led you up to this part of your journey so far?
So that's a loaded question because I'm in a multitude of journeys at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so there are different things that kind of led me to this point in each of those, I guess, paths. I guess the determining factor or what happened to kind of lead me to this point was just kind of a self-reflection of, I think it was last year during the pandemic. There was a class that I took with my first lady, and giving honor to God, who is the head of my life, and my pastors, who are
yes.
I'm going to mention my pastors. There's a strong possibility that I'm going to mention my pastors multiple times. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. All right. I don't know your audience, but I'm churchy. All right.
Praise
so
God.
As long as they know.
They'll get it. Come on.
Okay. Listen, my pastors are Apostle Dr. Andre Williams and Pastor Joshua Williams of the amazing Truth Nation Church. Okay. But yes, so I had a class with her last year. I think it was during the pandemic. And it was basically one of the assignments or one of the assignments we had during the class was to kind of rate yourself on the scale of 1 to 10 on different aspects of your life. So there was like financially, health-wise, your love life, your family, spiritually. as an individual, like how you love yourself and things like that. And when I looked at how I rated myself, and I wanted to be intentional about this particular assignment, and so I went ahead and I rated myself on all of these levels from the scale of, on a scale of 1 to 10, and realized that I was a trash individual. Okay, there were some areas, like if I were being serious and transparent in that moment about those particular areas of my life, I realized, hey, you could do better. And not even so much, everybody says, oh, I can do better, I'm not perfect, and it wasn't even in that mind frame. It was, you need to do better, because
I feel that
if you don't, because if you don't, people are not going to want to be around you, and you're not going to want to be around yourself, and that leads to other things, and we can't have that. So I think it was in that particular moment that I was just like really transparent about where I am and where I am, being intentional about getting to where I wanted to be. So I think that was kind of that assignment encompassed, like I said, it allowed me to self-reflect on every aspect of my life. So in that 2 minutes that I sat and did that, I was like, okay, we got to do better. Now, I'm not where I need to be or where I would like to be, but I am not where I was. So
I was just about to say, but praise God.
Let's bless God for that. Let's bless God for that.
Amen. That's what it's about. It's about progression, not perfection. So I love the self-reflection in that. You mentioned a couple things, and I'm gonna come back to it. What was the turning point? What was the turning point in your life to say, I might need to change my trajectory?
So without giving too many details, there was a season earlier in this year. It kind of into last year, earlier this year, kind of thing. And it was just, I was in a very extremely dark place. And it was almost to a point where, like, not only did I not see a way out of that particular season, but I don't think I had become so comfortable in the season that I didn't want to get out. And I think it was in that, and it was, there was some additional, series of events that kind of happened over, the corresponding few months. But after that particular season, I realized that that's not a place I ever want to be again. And that kind of what pushed me to be intentional about not only doing whatever it is that I need to do to make sure that I don't ever get to that point again, but also being intentional about, I learned a lot about, we all know that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. And so I realized that in those particular moments that I have the ability to speak myself through that moment. And so that situation kind of helped me put that in perspective and put it to practice. And so because of that, it kind of helps me now, kind of deal with whatever it is I'm dealing with, and realizing, you actually have a choice. As I might lose some people after saying this, but you actually have a choice in a lot of the situations that you're in. And so if you are being intentional about moving past that, then that, and also being willing to understand that a large percentage of that comes from you. And so you can't necessarily count on other people to help pull you out or to help push you out if you are not intentional, or you're not dedicated to pulling and pushing yourself out yourself. And so yeah, I think that particular season that I went through was the turning point for me. It was just, like I said, it forced me to not only take inventory, but take responsibility for the seasons in my life. Like, okay, yeah, things happen, life happens, things come, but at the end of the day, I have to be willing to recognize my responsibility in that situation, so that if I am willing to take responsibility for what I can take responsibility and then give the rest to God, everything else will fall where it needs to. And so I think that's what that particular season taught me. So yeah, that was kind of the turning point for me, I guess.
Do the darkest part, or not the darkest, that's not like the dark phase in your life, coincide with the exercise that you did with your first lady?
That actually came after
Okay.
the exercise. And maybe a the fact that I was self-reflective in the moment during that exercise kind of brought up some things I didn't necessarily know that I was dealing with or needed to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was kind of the seed that was planted. And then this season was kind of the, okay, we are uprooting what you didn't realize was there.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes some of the darkest phases in our life create the greatest changes in who we are as individuals. It don't come easy, but
Absolutely.
it's definitely worth it once you get to the other side of that dark phase.
Right. And I think that's the most important thing. You made the point that it doesn't come easy, but it's necessary. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the point people get stuck on, that it's not easy. Well, none of this is easy. If this was all easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Period.
And none of it is. And I think you have to be willing to understand that it's not going to be easy, but in the end, it is going to be worth it.
Always. When did you realize you were on the right path? Or let me rephrase that question. Do you feel like you're on the right path right now?
Absolutely. Definitely think I'm on the right path. And I realized that when the fruit that was yielded as a result of the steps that I'm taking intentionally. So the intentional joy, the intentional happy moments, the celebration of the small progresses, that is fruit of the season that I went through. And so that in itself is a reminder that, okay, you're doing something right. And
Absolutely.
so so I can definitely say that I am on the right path. But I am not, again, not where I desire to be, and not where where God has planned for me. But I'm definitely getting back on the right path, and I'm definitely headed in the right direction. So.
Mm-hmm. In the last episode, I mentioned about a missile being thrown in a direction of its target can still do some damage. So as long as you still moving along that
Right.
path and moving to where God is telling you to go, you still gonna tear some stuff up on your way. So it's worth it.
Absolutely. And that's the goal. And
And
that's
in
the
a good
goal.
way, not in a destructive way, but
Right, right,
I'm gonna
right.
shake some
Of
stuff
course.
up. Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I need you, when we get off here, you gonna have to kind of share it with me what First Lady had you self-reflecting on, because I might need to do
Okay.
that
I'll
do
let you
that for
know.
myself. Um,
Okay.
Last question for you. What's on the horizon for you? Where are you headed?
Ooh. So, like I said, I've I have an idea. God talks to me. He talked to the rest of y'all too, but sometimes you're not listening. However, that's not what we're here.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait.
Wait, first of all, you're not gonna speed
How
past
you
that like you
just
didn't just say
go?
what you just said.
You can't just say that and move past that like that. Hold on.
Ooh.
What'd you say one time for him again?
Just say God talks to me. He talks to you too, but you're just not listening.
Okay. All right.
All right. I just say what he told me to say.
Okay.
Anyway.
Uh-huh.
So I've heard and I've seen, where my life is supposed to be and where my life is going, and I'm very excited about all of that. I can't release all of those details. However, I am, I guess, where I am headed and where I see myself is in a place of intentional joy, because I realize that, again, it's all a choice. And the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so being able to lean on that and lean on the fact that, I can have joy and I can have
Mm-hmm.
peace, and it not have to come and it not have to be a laborious task in order to get it. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
is something that is afforded to me. And so that is definitely a place that I am trying to be intentional about being in. I also, I'm just trying to be a yielded, committed vessel of, of God, and being whatever it is that He's called me to be, being intentional about giving Him a yes, and taking on everything that means. Because sometimes, we ask God for things, and we ask God to show us things, and we ask God to do things for us. And when we give Him a yes, we get that yes comes with conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how it's supposed to be, because His love didn't come with conditions. And His promise didn't come with conditions. And so being able to yield myself to Him, and being able to say, okay, God, whatever it is that you have for me, whatever it is that you want me to do, whatever it is you want to use me to do, I'm available to you.
Mm-hmm.
And being okay with everything that comes with it. Because a lot of times we say yes, and we just be like, okay, well, that's not the package I wanted it in, or that's not the way I thought you were going to give it to me.
Like, I thought
But
it was
that's
gonna be a
not,
red bowl,
that's
not a green one.
not a green one. And, I don't really like the color green. And so I don't understand why you're doing it in this way. And that's not what I asked you for. But being intentional and being receptive to all of that, and whatever that means. So, yielding. So I guess I am, at the end of the day, my heart is yielded, and whatever He has for me, what He's shown me so far, and what I yet to see, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever He has shown me, and the things that I have not been, the things that He has shown me, and the things that I was not ready for Him to show me, that are on the horizon, that's where I'm headed, and that's where I'm going. And that is in regards to my spiritual life and my spiritual assignment. That is in regards to where I'm supposed to be financially, where I am supposed to be business wise. There is a lot locked within me, and my goal is to leave here empty. That's it. That's my desire, is to leave here empty, not leave here until I'm done.
You just said a couple things. You said it can be.
Let's talk about them.
You said that it can be afforded to you. I want you to talk more about that, because I think you're getting at the you're worthy of anything that's coming your way. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't think a lot of times we think about that we are worthy of receiving the blessings that God give us. Not in the sense that we've done so much in God's eyes, but we feel like, little old me, why should I get this? Well, you big man out here in God's eyes. So talk more about that for me.
I think it's important for us to understand that as God's children and as heirs to His throne, we are absolutely capable of handling everything it is that He wants to place in our hands, and also worthy of all of that. Because our worthiness has absolutely nothing to do with our characteristic. It has everything to do with His.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that He is all knowing, and He is forgiving, and He is loving, all because He is, we are. And so I am able to accept that when I realize, or I get the revelation, that all of that comes from Him. It all stems from my relationship with Him. Now, what you also have to realize is, okay, you have to have a relationship with Him to reap those benefits. So you can't just be out here, doing whatever it is that you want to do, and disregarding what it is that He told you, or He said to you, or He's shown you. And you can't allow that, in the spirit of, because I think a lot of people use grace and mercy as like a hall pass to be able to do. I can do what I want to when I want to, because at the end of the day, His grace and mercy, His grace is sufficient. But well, yeah, to a degree, because at the same time, He also said that if you deny me, then I'll deny you before my Father. So you can't just be out here living all willy-nilly and then think you're still going to reap the benefits, because at the end of the day, while He is not a respecter of person, He does respect principle. And so it's like me being in a relationship with a guy. I don't call him, I don't text him, I don't pick up the phone when he calls, I don't spend no time with him or nothing, but I'm still expecting him to pay for dinner. How does that work?
Because he knows
But
your heart.
no, you got to give in order to get, and that works in not only relationships with family and relationships with coworkers and relationships with people in general, but that also works in your relationship with God. You can't just expect, he is not a genie where you can just rub a lamp and think he's going to come out and do what you want him to do whenever you want him to do it. That's not how it works. You have to build a relationship with him. And so going back to your original question, I am worthy because he's worthy. And because he sees me as worthy, that is enough.
That is enough. I love it. You then mentioned also just going when God speaks to you. So it seems as though while you may have a plan for your life, or you may have a general direction of where you're going, what I hear you saying is, if he asked me to shift, and if God asked you to shift, that's what you will do.
Absolutely. Because he stands at the end of time, and he speaks to now, and he speaks and spoke to what happened before. And so for me to not be willing, and I'm preaching to myself as I'm talking, because I'm not perfect. I don't always get it right. I don't always do what he tells me to do. So I don't want y'all to think that that's what's happening here. No, I'm getting reprimanded in this moment as well.
Like, so, shut up.
Right. Shut up, girl. But no, being able to understand that his direction does not come just because he felt like it. Like he wasn't just sitting around and just like, you know what, I got nothing else to do today. Let me throw them off course. That's not how it works. And we have to be willing to be open when plans change, because you don't know what it is that you are missing out on. Now, I don't want to say missing out on, but you don't know what you are avoiding by listening to his direction. So if it throws, and 9 times out of 10, what is throwing you off course is throwing you off course off the course that you created yourself, not what he said. So if he's telling you to do something different than what you are currently doing, or different from what you originally envisioned or imagined, then that 9 times out of 10, that's because whatever it is that he's trying to change isn't what he said. It wasn't what he created. It wasn't what he ordained. And so being willing to be okay with the moment of being off track, and it's not necessarily being off track, because at the end of the day, I'm still going to get to where he told me to be. But I'm going to do it the way that he told me to. Because if I don't know what issues that are going to arise. Because if I try to do things in my own, by my own skill, by my own talent, or by my own way of logic, then I also have to deal with the issues that come because of, as a result of what I did. If he told you to do it, he's gonna foot the bill.
Period.
So, right. So if he told you to do something that you feel like was off track, there's a reason for it. I don't know what I'm avoiding by doing it this way. I don't know what issue I am going to be able to, what issue I'm avoiding, or I don't know what issue I'm avoiding by listening to what he told me to do. So even if it goes against because there have been some times where certain things happened and there was no logical explanation to it. But because I did what he told me to do, I reaped the benefit. And so, and I think that's where we get caught up is, well, this doesn't make any sense. Well, it's not supposed to make sense to you. It's not about you. At the end of the day, as long as because he's going to get the glory out of this. And so being able to say, because there are some testimonies that people have to hear, and I cannot give you solid or logical explanation as to why it happened. Because at the end of the day, the only thing I can say is that he did it, and in that moment, that was meant to infuse their faith. And so I have to be willing to yield my story and yield my path and my journey to him, so that someone else's faith is infused because of my ability and my desire to follow him.
I love it. You talked about God speaking to you and seeing things that you weren't necessarily ready for. Tell me more. not necessarily of what you see, but what that feeling is when you see things that you're not necessarily ready for.
So I think, and when I say things that I wasn't necessarily ready for, I think I am a firm believer that at times, I think I've seen this like in a meme or something, where it said something along the lines of like, God isn't able to give you the blessing that you're looking for because something else is in its way or something along those lines. Tying that into it, it's kind of like God is ready to bless you with something, but because you are not focused enough on what it is that He wants you to focus on, you're not prepared to handle the magnitude of what it is that He wants to give you. And so not only are you come here, okay? So not only I see you looking around.
I was about to say, you see me trying to get up out of that one. I was trying to get up out. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
At times, we're not able or capable or responsible enough or mature enough to handle the magnitude of the promise that He is trying to show to us or give to us. And so because we're not focused and because we're not postured in the right place in order to accept and receive everything that it is that He's going to show me or give me, He is not going to, it's like, what's the scripture? Giving pearls to swine. Like it's not, what's the point? If you're not going to handle it with the care that it needs to be handled with. And so and my pastor says it all the time, there's money that God is trying to release to you. However, if He gives you the money today, you ain't gonna do nothing but go and pay everybody else's bills, not do what He told you to do with it. So what is the point?
I don't know. I feel real reprimanded. You stepped out on my toes. All my toes is like bloody right now. Just thought I should tell you.
Oh, bless God.
That's really good. I don't think we think about it from that standpoint of just my grandma used to say all the time, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. But I don't think a lot of times we stay ready for God's blessings, if that makes sense. Like, because
it makes perfect sense.
Because we want so bad, like I tried to do just now. You told me to come here. We try to squirm out of that thing. Like, no, I don't want to do that. What has been essential for you to not squirm out of those blessings that you may have felt were too big for you at the moment?
I think for me, just being committed to seeing the process, because I think being able to go through certain things, and even so when I see something or when when God tells me something or downloads something to me, understanding that because I have heard it, I now have responsibility to see it through. You can't be held responsible for something that you didn't necessarily know, and you can't be held responsible for something that you didn't hear. So if He told it to you, and now I have record of it, at this point, I am now responsible for doing whatever it is that's necessary to make sure that this comes to fruition. And so, being willing to set aside my own desires and being willing to set aside my own logic, because I'm a very, very, very logical person. I'm very black and white. If it's not 2 + 2 = 4, I want to know why we got to 5 and how we can stop that from happening in the future, because that's not how it's supposed to be. So being willing to set aside my own logic and get out of my own head, and being willing to, I think at the end of the day, my relentless trust in Him is the cherry on top. Like, okay, this doesn't make any sense to me. And this is much larger than I am able to handle right now. And this is much larger than I ever saw myself ever being able to handle, because there are certain things that I know that I am destined for, where like 10 years ago, I was like, you know what? I don't want all of that. All of that's not necessary. I'm good with, just enough for me, my foe, and no more. Is that what they say? I don't know. I don't have 4 kids. So,
I was going to say, who got foe? Well, like,
I don't have foe. I don't have one, but that's what somebody said. Just enough for me, my foe, and no more. And that's kind of always been my desire, but then being exposed to more and being exposed to greater and realizing that all of this was done by faith. And it's like, okay, well, if you could do it by faith, I can too.
So can I.
Holding on to, I can too. Why not me? I was at a conference recently, and that was kind of the tagline, if you will. Why not me? Why not me? Anyways, so being willing to yield myself and being able to understand that what he has shown me is definitely possible. So why wiggle my way out of it when I know we're gonna run on and see what the end gonna be? Okay, as Saints used to say.
Praise God.
So right. So if I know that this is where I am going, why wouldn't I be willing to just follow whatever direction it is that he gave me? But I think we're not willing to do that because it's not going, because again, it goes back to the point we made. It's not the package we wanted it in. It's not delivered in the way or through the person we wanted it to be delivered through. And sometimes we reject God's blessings because it didn't come the way we expected it to be wrapped. And so just being willing and obedient.
Good. That sounds like being willing and obedient. God.
Obedient.
Jesus.
Yeah, like I said, I'm talking to myself, and it's
I feel
like,
it.
okay, girl, like you telling other people, but what are you doing?
I feel it. I told you to step down.
It's all right. I'll deal with this later.
When you said why not me, I used to say the phrase all the time. Why I got to do it? Why me? Why me? So when you say why not you, it's like, oh, I guess it could be me then.
It changes the perspective. It changes the perspective. If you, I feel like, God will never put anything on you more than you can bear. He will never put more on you than you can bear. And so, and people, because we are so enamored with, I know what I can bear, or I know what I can deal with, and I know what I can tolerate, not realizing you don't know Jeff. You don't know nothing. And it's not about you in this moment. You don't know whose faith you're infusing. You don't know what testimony is being built as it relates to, or as a result of you being willing. And so just shut up and do it.
I feel that. You just made me think about, I used to teach Algebra 1 in the high school. And kids can be arrogant. And it's like, Miss, I know how to do this, and I shouldn't have to do this and that and that and that. And I will always say, but you don't know what you don't know. I know where you have to go. I know where you have to go from A to Z. You haven't seen Z yet. So I'm asking you to do it this way so that you can then do what I need you to do later on. And it just dawned on me. That's literally what we do to God. God, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but God is saying, I have more vision. You don't know what you don't know. I've seen A to Z.
Don't know nothing.
If I asked you to do it this way, just do it this way.
Right.
And I just thought about it. I was like, I do the exact opposite of what I tell my kids to do. Just go with it. Y'all, trust me. And I don't do that with God. You ain't finna keep talking to me like that.
None of us do. But I think it's it's the rebellion that rises up in us when somebody tells me to do something. Because I used to say it when I was younger. My mom said, and I remember a couple of times I said this. My mom used to say to me, she said, I can tell you that there's a snake over there. And you would tell me. And my response to her would be, well, I would rather get bit so I know for myself. Yeah. And as I got older, and when I would reflect back on statements like that, I was like, that was stupid. Why would you purposely put yourself into something knowing that there is danger ahead? And somebody told you that, then okay, well, why you can't be upset when there are repercussions for those actions. And so I think that that's how we have to look at our relationship with God. When he tells me to do something and I'll be like, you know what? You really don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna do it this way because it's gonna get me there quicker. I'm gonna do, what I need to do. And if I have to deal with it, I have to deal with it. But then we come back to God and be like, okay, God, I messed up. What do I do now? No, if you had done it the way he told you to, we wouldn't be in this predicament.
And I think, don't get me wrong, I do value personal experience. But getting bit is not, and I get where you're coming from. Getting bit is not the way to go about that. However, if there are some things that you will have to experience so that you understand the detriment to it sometimes. But you said will do something wrong and then go back to God. Somebody told me to pray about something. I was like, no, because I know what he done told me and I just don't want to do it. Like, I'm not. God gonna be like, girl, I said that already. Leave me alone. So,
and then people look at moments like that and be like, well, God's not talking to me. I went to him and I prayed about it and he's not telling me anything. No, he's not saying anything because he already told you once before. He does not have the responsibility of repeating himself. Like, if he told you once, that means the direction did not change. Go back and do it the way I told you to do it.
He does not have the responsibility to repeat himself. Huh. You gonna stop slapping me today? I thought about your connection with your church and how you've transformed. Because for those of you that don't know, me and Tasha, we get on and we'll read books together and then we'll discuss those books. And in those discussions, we have conversation about how you've evolved. And I know that, your pastor and first lady have played a huge part in that. Can you tell me a little bit more about that relationship and how it has assisted in the transformation?
So, my relationship with my pastors, first off, my pastors are my spiritual leaders, or they are my spiritual parents. So if I ever use mom or dad or spiritual father or spiritual mother, that's who I'm referring to. And there's, controversy around that, but that's not what I'm here for.
And that ain't their business.
I know what I know.
Keep going. Exactly.
And it's not your business. But I know what I know. And so my connection to them has been, I have seen growth in myself as a person, mentally, spiritually, financially, like as a result of the connection that I have with them. I have never had an issue and then went to them and they did not point me back to God. And I think that is why the foundation of our relationship is firm, because it's not about them. It's not about them wanting to lead me in some kind of way. It's not about them wanting to get something out of me. It's not about manipulation. It's about relationship with God. And I think that is the reason why I've been able to, and that's why I've been able to accept whatever it is that they tell me, because I know that it's not coming from them, it's coming from God. And I think that's what people get wrapped up in. They're like, well, it's just not necessary for me to tell them everything. It's not necessary for me to, my pastors are just, just there for my spiritual life or whatever the case may be. But I don't think people understand the connection of, basically, people get the overflow of my relationship with God. That is what it should be. Because of my relationship with God, because of the time that I spend with him, you, as a person that is connected to me, should reap the benefits of the overflow of that relationship. And so they are like and I've learned that from them. And like I said, at the end of the day, anything that I've ever gone through or any issue that I've ever had, it's never been, well, I think you should do this. It's always been, well, I've prayed about it and this is what God said. Or I'm going to pray with you so that you can hear him for yourself. It's never been about whatever their agenda is. And I think, people have this misconstrued, thought process on the concept of, or the relationship of having a spiritual, or with having a spiritual leader or having spiritual parents, is they're not there for their own gain. I am a benefactor of their yieldedness to God. I am a beneficiary of their relationship with God. And so whenever I have a problem and I go to them about it, they always turn me back to him. And I think that is why my that's why my relationship with them is solid, because of that. It's not about them. It's never been about them. And I think that's the reason why that has always been so important to me, because I know that my spiritual life is important to them. And because my spiritual life is important to them, the wholeness of who I am is important to them.
I love it. When you speak about the overflow, I don't think we really understand what the overflow is. And I thought about the story in the Bible where the lady touched the hem of Jesus's garment. He had so much flowing out of him that even his clothes was anointed. And sometimes I don't think we think about it from that aspect.
Good.
You know what I'm saying?
Good. Yes.
Like, and so when you think about the overflow, because you serve God the way that you do, even your words drip with God. Even when you blink, God drips out of your eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't think we look at overflow in the way that that it is really meant to be. Just dripping goodness.
No, we don't. Right. And it's not even about dripping perfection. It's about showing God's love. Because I know he loves me, I have the responsibility of loving his people. Absolutely. And because I love him, I have the responsibility of loving his people. And through my relationship with him, I'm able to learn how to love people, even in the moment, even with the people that I don't want to love. Because there are some people.
It'd be tough.
Okay. That if I had my way,
it'd be tough.
All right, hear me in the spirit.
Amen.
It'd be tough. Okay. But that's not my responsibility. I have to give them and that relationship to God, because I am here to give people God, and that is my responsibility, is to love people with the love of Christ. And he loves me unconditionally. At the end of the day, I have the responsibility of loving God's people unconditionally, and regardless of what and who they are. Okay.
I love the pause. Okay. I feel it.
Okay. So yeah, that is them. That is people getting the overflow of my relationship with God. That's it.
But in the same breath, you have to be intentional about what you put in your cup in order for what overflows to be.
Because that be it. Because if your cup is full of hatred and you are continuing to spew out hate, you can't be upset when people treat you with hate. Like that's what you've been filling these people's cup with.
That's what dripped off you, baby. I mean,
that's what dripped off you. Every time I'm around you, something just don't sit right with me. That'd be it.
Well, as I suspected, you brought so much light, love, and positivity, and so much God to the conversation. Anybody got an issue with Tasha being churchy? Mind your business.
Oh, churchy.
Don't listen.
Okay.
You know,
so that's my business.
And I'm not churchy, but I do love God. I do believe in God. And I think we can still have these conversations where we bring those two sides together. Absolutely. To have a good conversation about any and everything. So I do appreciate you.
But I feel like that's a portion of all of our purpose. It's a portion of all of our assignment, is to take what I've learned, take the revelation that I have about who God is and what he is to me, and express that to other people so that they can be like, okay, well, you know what? I see you running around here, like doing what you're doing, and how we got there. And so that opens the door for the conversation like this. And who knows what a portion of my story and what a portion of my journey is going to help someone else in their spiritual walk. And if that is the reason that I'm here today, if one person decides, you know what, I'm gonna give this side thing a try. I'm gonna be intentional about this. I'm gonna be intentional about building a relationship with God. At the end of the day, that's all I really care about. Like, even if this is just for one person, then my job is done.
And that's what I had to come to the realization of. Thousands is cool, but even if I can get one to change and turn, and it's worth it for sure.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, I greatly appreciate you for joining me today. You never disappoint. You never cease to amaze me in the conversation and the just the light that you bring. So thank you so much. I'm
No
gonna
problem.
give you the opportunity one more time to tell people where they can find you.
So I am on Instagram. I just recently made my Instagram public, y'all, and that is a big step for me because
I see
I
you
don't
with
like
your
having people
reels,
on my
honey.
business side of it.
I see you.
Yeah. You saw me. Okay. I'm trying to be better with the social media thing because I've been made the assistant coach of our social media team at our church. So I'm trying to be more intentional about learning things when it comes to social media. Because let's be candid, I don't really like social media like that because y'all just be doing too much. People be peopling and y'all just be looking for something, just very much something. And
very
so
much.
that's why I like talking to y'all. Anyway. So I just made my my Instagram public. So whoever you are, come and you can follow me at Tash 2.0. That's TASH, the number 2, and then POINT, the number 0, and the letter H. So Tash 2.0. That's me on Instagram and Twitter. Now my Twitter is not public because God has not completely delivered me just yet. So I really be speaking my feelings over there, but yes, Tosh 2.0, and then on Facebook at Tasha Denise. Again, Facebook is usually for people that I actually know. So if you do get declined, I love you with the love of God.
I was about to say you were declined in love.
It's declined in love.
All of Tasha's information will be linked in this episode. We greatly appreciate you for tuning into this episode. You didn't have to click on it, but if you did click on it, you were meant to listen. And I do appreciate you for doing that. Again, you can find Introverse Podcast on the first and third Wednesday on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Instagram at Introverse Podcast and on Twitter at Introverse Pod. If you don't have access to the previously mentioned podcast platforms, you can find a link in the bio that'll take you directly to the latest episode. I'm AJ Smith, your host, and you can find me at AJ Empowers on all social media. I am a certified life coach. I know I didn't mention that before, but I was trying to get to the episode with Tasha. You can go over to ajempowers.com, book your free book your free discovery call, so that we can see if we're meant to journey together. By the end of this conversation, I hope we've given you something to think about, to change your perspective, to enlighten you, to take along your journey and help you on the way. And with that said, good night, good day, goodbye.